Hey y'all, we are going to be doing something a little bit different for today's video. Since Rosita and I are both getting pretty busy in the gardens, we thought we would take this time just to share a video with you that we've been wanting to share anyway. We've gotten a few questions lately about what is good to forage for bouquets and design work. We talk about how we forage a lot, so we thought we would share this video with you. It's part of our bouquet design class, and you can get a lot more of this kind of information if you go purchase that class. It's available on our website. So today's video will be about foraging, and without further ado, here you go. A few years into our careers as wedding florists, we got a little bit burnt out on all of the wonderful greenery that you can order from your wholesaler. Things like eucalyptus, ruscus, ferns, more eucalyptus. And at the same time, we started to notice on our little trips to the hedgerows for wildflowers that there were some nice bushes and trees growing there too. At least I think that's how it happened. There may have also been a time or two when we did not order enough greenery for a wedding, or somebody had a budget of approximately $0 for a big install, and we had to supplement with whatever we could find out in the field and in the woods. However it happened, the day came when we realized that we actually preferred the foraged greenery to all the stuff that we could buy in. Now, there is a caveat. Obviously, not everything is available in every season. Winter is a bit of a scarce time for greenery. And not everything that you forage will do well in or out of water. So, through a process of trial and error over a period of a number of years, we've come up with a list of greenery that we like to rely on, and we use a lot in our bouquets. So I'll just share those with you now. First up, we have Pythia. And yeah, this is the bush that every old homestead had in its front yard, the one that starts with highlighter yellow blooms early in spring and then turns green later in the season. We love it because it is hardy in and out of water in late spring, early summer, which is very unusual for most of the things that you forage. You can use it long before you can use a lot of other foraged greenery. We also like the branch shape or structure, and the leaves are not too large, and they work well in a lot of different styles of bouquets. And as a bonus, it turns a lovely sort of rusty apple color in the fall, which lends itself well to autumn bouquets. We've used Pythia in vase bouquets, bridal bouquets, as well as larger installations like arches. Another spring greenery or foliage that we like is honeysuckle. And honeysuckle has saved the day for us many times in early spring. Now, something I did not realize until I was desperately searching for something to use when nothing else was green out there, was that honeysuckle stays green year-round. It's a vine, and if you can untangle it, you can use it. But it has saved the day for us many times, and we love it because it suits that sort of dainty spring flower arrangement. And it adds an organic flair to what can otherwise feel like kind of a hothouse cookie cutter bouquet in early spring. Next up, we have Wisteria. We planted a Wisteria back behind our deck many years ago, and within a few years, it had taken on a life of its own. We cut it back hard most years, and some years even cut it almost down to the ground, and by fall it had grown back up and onto the deck again. However you feel about the persistence of this vine, it's one of the earliest greens that will grow. We like to use it in spring, summer, and fall, and the chartreusey color of the greens lends itself well to spring bouquets, and the tendrils can add a bit of drama to your arrangements. Now, it's not hardy out of water, and if you harvest it too young, it will not be hardy in water either. Next on our list is Love in a Puff. And this is an easy vine to grow in your garden, but you will need some sort of trellis or structure for it to climb. It's called Love in a Puff because it produces these small round balls that pop when you squeeze them, and inside you will find some small white seeds with a black heart on them. Hence the name Love in a Puff. Now, we grow it mostly just for the greens. It's sort of a vining tendril type of greenery, but we do occasionally use the puffs in bouquets as well. They add a great touch of whimsy to your bouquets, and the tendrils can kind of take on a life of their own after they're in the arrangement. The vine may wilt after cutting, but if you condition in cool water for a few hours, they'll perk right back up. Now, we don't recommend to use it for anything other than a vase bouquet because they are not hardy out of water. Okay, moving on to autumn olive. This is a silvery foliage that grows plentifully here in Ohio. The stems can sometimes have thorns, so you do need to be a little bit careful with that. And it produces a red berry in autumn. We tend to use autumn olive mostly in the summer when it's at its prime. If you cut it too early in the spring, it can wilt, and towards the end of summer, first part of autumn, the leaves tend to just drop off the branch. Because of its silvery hue, it doesn't fit all design styles, but it works great for large installations like arches and large urn arrangements. And also, it does good in hand bouquets. It is hardy out of water. Because this is an invasive bush where we live, we can forage it from the roadsides and pastures around here, and nobody minds. Moving on to tree branches. Now, this broad category of tree branches is one of our favorites for creating that unique country couture look that we love. Some of our favorites are hickory, beech, birch, and oak, but we've also foraged branches that we don't know the names of the trees. Just anything out there in the woods is fair game. Tree foliage can tend to be a lot hardier out of water than other foraged greenery, especially if you harvest it in summer and fall. And when the leaves change color in autumn, these can be a good option for those colorful fall centerpieces and installations. And we especially love tree branches with larger leaves for statement pieces, but not so much hand bouquets or vases. Here's a tip. If you forage in the middle of the woods, there are smaller, younger saplings there that have a more delicate leaf structure that's better suited to hand bouquets and vases. But you do want to be sure to do an out-of-water test on these. Next, we have basil, and we grow Genovese, lemon, and amethyst basil in our gardens to use in bouquets. I slightly prefer the dramatic foliage of the Genovese basil, which is just the regular basil we grow to eat as well, but I also love to use lemon basil for a lovely scent in an arrangement. It smells a little bit like Fruit Loops. If you know, you know. Amethyst basil is great for autumn bouquets or whenever you need a pop of drama in your arrangement. We grow several successions of the different kinds of basil in our garden to have throughout the season. And there's pros and cons to using basil. It's very easy to grow, but it does form the seed head that is not always conducive to floral design. So we have found that you actually need to let it form the seed head so it's hardy in a vase or occasionally out of a vase too. We have used it in hand bouquets. Don't necessarily recommend that. But we let it grow and form the seed head, and then if we don't like it in the bouquet, we'll just snip the seed head out. Moving on to eucalyptus. Now, this is something that we grow in our garden, and it's different than the eucalyptus that you buy in, but we grow this to use in late summer and fall. If you are able to successfully overwinter it in your garden, that's a goal that we have every year, you will be able to use it earlier in the season. It actually grows quite tall if you can overwinter it. The stuff that you see Rosita harvesting here is the silver drop eucalyptus in its second year being picked in September. So it's taken it that long to grow this tall. This can wilt if harvested too green or too young, so it's important to wait until it's hardy enough to use in vases and hand bouquets. But in late summer and fall, you're able to use it in hand bouquets as well. We love the different texture and slightly different shade of green it brings to the table, but like autumn olive, it is not going to work in all of your color palettes. This brings us to the last thing on our list, blackberries. This is another great foliage to grow. In the early days, we tried foraging blackberries because we loved the little bit of texture it added to our bouquets, but the thorns proved to be too much to deal with. So we planted a row of thornless blackberries. And although we planted them for the foliage, blackberries do what they do, and they give us a bumper crop of berries every year. That's why you'll see a bunch of blackberries show up in our late summer bouquets and designs. Blackberry canes can be a little stiff to work with in bouquets, but I have learned that for smaller vases and hand bouquets, you strip all but the cluster of leaves on the very tip, and then use them almost like a flower to add a bit of green texture to your arrangements. So in conclusion, this is not an exhaustive list. We've also been known to use lamb's ear, tomato foliage, strawberry leaves, boxwood, and wild ferns in our designs. This list shows the things we probably reach for most often, but basically nothing is safe from our speculative eye and greedy clippers. The beauty of foraging for greenery is that it opens your eyes to the realm of possibility. Of course, this is specific to our zone and what we choose to grow in our garden. If you live in a different zone, you will likely have different options to choose from. Like, if you're from Texas, we're very jealous of all that Smilex y'all just have growing in the wild. You will probably need to do your own trial and error process, both to see what holds up well out of water and what you like to work with. My hope is that by sharing this with you, you'll see that you are not boxed in to just the greenery that is available from your wholesaler. There is a whole world of wild organic greenery just waiting to be discovered.